this week I'm going to be doing my 19-week bump date. So if you want to hear how last week went, then just keep on watching. I am still craving muffins like nobody's business. I have bought those little, they're called Little Bites, and they come in just little individual packages. I have like 3 or 4 different types in my pantry right now. Like, it's pretty bad. But yeah, the muffin craving is just getting worse, and I don't know what it is about it. It doesn't matter what flavor it is now, it's just whatever. I have also been craving hamburgers.
Mama?
You want to sit up here, Mama?
Yes. Hi.
Can you say hi?
Hi.
Yeah. I have been craving hamburgers a lot, which is very, very odd for me because I'm really not a big meat person. But I've been craving hamburgers a lot, and still I'm craving Cokes a lot. Like the other day, I had to have my husband go out and buy me one, like at 8 o'clock in the evening, because I've been battling it all day, and I was like, I need a Coke, and I need it now. So I've been craving those a lot. Yeah? I have been feeling more regular movement this past week. I can feel her kicking pretty much every day now, as opposed to just every once in a while. I don't have a really set time of the day that I feel her more than others, but I definitely feel her every day now. I've really been starting to feel that nesting urge. I don't feel like I ever got that with my first pregnancy, but with this one especially, now that we're almost to the halfway mark, I don't know what it is. It's just like the panic of everything that has to be done, because we are moving our son from his room into this room that I'm in right now, because it's actually a bigger bedroom, and so she'll be in the smaller bedroom, so that's going to be kind of like the nursery. So yeah, there's just a lot to do and stressing me out, and I'm just kind of feeling the urge to just do everything all at once right this second. I have been getting a lot of shooting pains up and down my legs, and it's more so in the inner leg, kind of in the groin area, like the side. And my doctor said that was completely normal. It's just all the weight of your uterus and everything right on that pelvis, and so it's normal. It's just extremely, extremely uncomfortable. Another exciting thing was we had our anatomy scan. That was last week. That was at 18 weeks and 5 days. And that's always fun because it's a longer sonogram, so you get to see the baby more and get to see different angles and all that good stuff. They did confirm that she is still a girl, and everything looked absolutely perfect. She is measuring right exactly where she should be as far as gestational age and all that good stuff. So that all came back great. I don't remember if I mentioned this when we had our 13-week sonogram, but we had the genetic testing done at that sonogram, and this particular screening is actually a 2-part. So they do the first part at that sonogram, and they did the second part at this one. And again, everything came back perfect. Everything was the lowest risk possible for that. So one thing that the doctor did bring up that kind of freaked me out that I had never heard about is called placenta accreta. And in a nutshell, it's more common for women who have had a C-section, which I did with my first. And it's when your placenta attaches close to, on, near your incision site on that scar tissue. And basically your placenta, the blood vessels in it and everything, can actually attach like through your uterus, and it can actually go so far as to start attaching to your other organs. And how freaky and scary is that? This wasn't my normal doctor. This was the doctor at the ultrasound clinic, because they actually send me to a different place to get the sonogram because theirs is just way more advanced. And this doctor was just way more matter of fact and just like, oh, here's what could happen. And she didn't really have a great bedside manner, so I was freaking out after this appointment, because basically she said if it is an Accreta, then you have to have a hysterectomy whenever you have your baby. And I'm just like, what? So it turns out it's very uncommon, but it is something that they want to keep an eye out for. I actually go back in 4 weeks to check on it and see where the placenta is at and the blood vessels and everything like that. So they're gonna keep an eye on it. So hopefully it's not an Accreta, because that is so scary. I have never heard of it before, but I guess that's good because that means it doesn't happen a lot. So keep our fingers crossed that everything turns out fine with that. My biggest concern that I asked the doctor was, does it affect the baby at all? And she said absolutely not. It's basically the after birth that it affects, because they can't know that it is or isn't an Accreta until basically after the baby's born. And if the placenta doesn't detach and you're losing a ton of blood, they know that something's up. Of course, they can know if it's likely that you have one, and that you probably do, but they can't know 100% without a doubt that you have it until you actually give birth, and then, you know, the afterbirth whenever you're trying to deliver the placenta. So we'll see. I'm trying not to freak out about it, but it's really scary if that's the case. I had my very first appointment with the new midwife group that I went with. I'm really excited about that. I had midwife care for the majority of my first pregnancy, and I just personally love everything about midwives and just kind of their philosophy and things like that during your prenatal care, birth, and afterwards. The reason I wasn't able to go sooner was just the way it worked out with insurance, and I had some special testing at the other doctor's office that I was getting done because I've got hypothyroidism, and so they had a couple of tests they were doing at the other doctor's office, so I was trying to get all that done and, you know, have that finished and then start with the new doctor. So it just kind of worked out to where this was the point that we switched, which is, you know, it's fine because I still only go once a month at this point, so it's not really a huge deal. But I did know from the beginning that I wanted to have midwife care. And this appointment was pretty long. I was there almost 2 hours, but it was good because they get all my history and all that kind of stuff. And I had a midwife student who talked with me at the beginning that was pretty awesome, because she was asking me about my first delivery with my son, and my response was, well, how much time do you have? And I talked to her about my delivery with my son. So she wanted to hear kind of how that went with the delivery of my son. I will do a separate video if y'all are interested to hear about that. I had planned on having a all-natural, drug-free delivery at a birthing center, and I ended up having to be put under full general anesthesia with a C-section. And it wasn't an emergency C-section, but it was urgent. So it was a lot. I was in labor for 3 days, and it was a pretty traumatic experience. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. It was not good. Anyway, she actually studied in traumatic labor and deliveries in school, so that was really nice to be able to talk to somebody about that, because my son, he will be 2 years old next week, and even though it's been 2 years, it is still very, very difficult to talk about, because that experience was just, it was bad. So she talked with me about that, and we just kind of talked about my care going forward and everything like that. So it was, even though it was long, it was a great appointment, and I left feeling just great, and I felt good going forward with everything. They of course did the heartbeat of the baby, and her heart rate was at 155. Everything sounds good, looks good, and I'll just go back in a couple of weeks. I did get to talk to them a little bit more about the Accreta, because they got the report from the ultrasound clinic, and she told me that that is very, very rare for that to happen. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm not worried about it, because it's been said and it's out there, so now of course I'm worried. But she said, well, let's just keep an eye out for it. We'll see how your next sonogram goes, and then we'll just go from there. So that made me feel better that they weren't extremely concerned about it, but like I said, it's still up here. So until I have my next ultrasound in a couple weeks, I will probably still be thinking about that pretty hardcore. is the 19-week belly. I feel like she is so high. And I'm wearing a t-shirt and this is just so not flattering. I need to take my shirts out better when I do this. It's Valentine's Day today, so I'm wearing my Bump Valentine shirt. It says growing my Valentine little feet. The other side. Yeah, I feel like it's very like cone and very high. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching my 19-week bump date. If you liked it, make sure to give me a thumbs up below and subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss out on any other videos.